Hello and welcome to the In the Pen podcast, a podcast about relievers, part of the Pitcher List Podcast Network. My name is Jake Crumpler, and as always, I'm joined by Pitcher List bullpen expert Rick Graham. Rick, how's it going? I cannot believe every single time I come in here, so pumped, and I'm like, okay, let's talk about relievers. But I always want to ask you personal questions. You got a dog a few weeks ago. How's that going?
It's exhausting. Luckily, she's super cute though. But yeah, she's still very much in that. She was supposed to be a little bit trained and over a year old, but she's definitely still a puppy. Just a lot of chaotic energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's getting better. It's getting better day by day. We're working through it, and we'll get
cool.
there.
Did you have a dog growing up?
Yeah, I had a dog for most of my life growing up. Up until I kind of moved out of my parents' house, we had a dog. So, and my wife, she's had dogs. She's had a dog for pretty much ever too. So we're both, and we have cats too. We're both just animal people in general. So we like we like cats, we like dogs. We're pet friendly over here.
Nice. Well, I'll have to come visit. My family's a big cat family. I've never had a dog. We have 3 cats currently. I would love to have a dog someday, but I think I'm going to be in the same situation as you, where I'm going to wait till I get married because it's such a huge responsibility.
It's a commitment.
I always see, couples that aren't super deep in their relationships get a dog, and then it's always a nightmare trying to figure out who keeps it or like what happens when they break up. Yeah. I mean, and also it's just tons of responsibility. I have so many friends that have dogs, and it's like, hey, you want to hang out this weekend? Oh shoot, we don't have anywhere to put the dogs. Either you come here or there's nowhere we can go, or my dog's hanging out in your bedroom. And I'm like, no way. Okay. Dogs are a great gift to have, but certainly a responsibility.
Oh yeah. It's time consuming to say the least.
For sure. All right. Well, we're here to talk relief pitchers today. We're going to obviously run through the injuries and news from the past week. We'll run through Rick's closer ranks and discuss the closers rising and falling on them. And then we'll enter our main topic and discuss relief pitchers who have seen changes in their fastball velocity this season compared to last season. So let's start things off with the news. As Emmanuel Clase experienced shoulder discomfort, he pitched 3 days in a row and then didn't get an opportunity for 2 days in a row to pitch. So Cade Smith got a couple of saves. Are you concerned at all with Clase's shoulder discomfort? I know he's pitched a long time without getting injured, and he throws really hard. So there's always that concern that at some point the elbow just snaps, or the shoulder in this case.
Yeah, I mean, from the pitch wise, pitch metric wise, it doesn't look like anything has fallen off too much this year. So it's not like he's lost a ton of velo or anything. I don't know why he was pitching 3 days. I know he only threw 9 and 6 pitches, and then they went back to him the third day. It's still risky just having him. I don't know. Don't love him going 3 days in a row, but then Cade Smith went 4 out of 5 days recently too. So it's an aggressive guardian. I mean, that's maybe when Francona was there, they were pretty aggressive with their bullpen usage. I'm not. I mean, it sounds like he's going to be okay for this weekend. So hopefully 3 days rest does help that shoulder from barking anymore. But it's concerning this early in the season, and we're about to talk about like a lot of little nagging injuries that are going on. So we're only at April 24th, and we're already starting to kind of see the wear and tear. Which it's again April. It's barely been a month, not even been a month into the season yet. So it's concerning. If the team doesn't think that he needs an IL stint, then at least it's not like, there is no MRIs that are pointing towards any sort of crucial surgery needed. So, that said, I do understand, and I think that Cade Smith should be, I mean, if you have like 30 plus relievers rostered, then Cade Smith needs to be rostered. He probably should have been already, but if he's still hanging out there I'd say even in a 12 teamer, Cade Smith should be, is worth a look, because he's really good no matter what. And if he's, he just got their last 2 saves, maybe Maybe they take it easy with Clase and he doesn't work back to backs or doesn't at least work 3 days in a row. So there could still be safe chances for Cade Smith to vulture here.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm rostering Cade Smith if he's available. Clase just kind of sitting tight and hoping that he can work through this because you drafted him in the top 40 or whatever. So you're not going to trade. You're not going to sell low on him. I don't think
Mhm.
unless you get a really good offer. So you just kind of have to sit tight with Clase right now.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing about Cade Smith too. I think he should be rostered everywhere already, but now that he has clearly a better chance at getting saves, I think last year he only had a handful, and if we're looking at a season where he can get closer to double digits, that makes him even more valuable. Last year,
Right.
one save, Cade Smith has already doubled that total this year in back-to-back days. So already looking more valuable than last year. And I think moving forward, as you mentioned, the concerns around Class A make Cade Smith even more of a target in the majority of leagues where he should already be rostered. Next, we have Edwin Diaz, who was pulled from his last outing with hip discomfort. He's been pitching every other day for quite a while, and he pitched into a second inning of work yesterday, but then was pulled in the middle of I think it was the 10th inning. Do you have any concerns about Edwin Diaz's hip comfort? I don't think we've ever heard anything about hip issues in the past for him.
No, I think I want to say that they called it cramping. So, if it's just a cramp, I'm not too concerned. But yeah, if it's something more there, then yeah, those things can linger and just be like, it might not be something that lands him on the IL, but it could kind of stick with him and make him less effective. But if it's just a cramp, he should be fine. I'm not. And even if he does go on the IL, I saw like so many people speculating about like what happens next there. I would imagine there's some sort of committee. I don't think they would actually just go with one guy if Diaz misses time. I think you play the matchups with Minter, Stanek, and probably even Garrett a little bit. So you just use those three guys in your high leverage spots. But yeah, I think Diaz should be fine. We'll see this weekend if he isn't able to pitch or whatnot. But I'm not too worried about it.
All right. Next, we have Ryan Presley, who had his knee drained, which that does not sound pretty, but he was held out of a couple save opportunities. He hasn't pitched in 3 days since last Sunday. Porter Hodge got a save while Presley was recovering. I hadn't heard any news about his knee prior to this. I know that's sort of been an issue for Presley in the past, but I didn't hear anything about it bothering him entering this week. So it's somewhat concerning that he's having to get it drained. I don't know what's draining out of it, but I can imagine.
That's not
but
good.
yeah, nonetheless, it looks like Ryan Presley is going to probably be dealing with this knee issue throughout the year. So what's your concern level on Presley's ability to pitch through that? And like, what's the likelihood of him losing his role at some point because either he pitches worse or he can't pitch as much?
Well, I mean, yeah, he's already been struggling. I know the 2.45 ERA doesn't look bad, but he's a 10.6% K rate. I mean, that's not going to cut it as a closer. It's unfortunate. It's like kind of like giving me like shades of like Hector Neris from last year, where it's like, yeah, he's the closer right now, but like everything else is screaming like he's not gonna be able to survive much longer. So yeah, I mean, the knee injury is definitely not helping matters. And Porter Hodge, I know his ERA is inflated, but I mean, he's pitched better than that. And even Julian Merriweather, I feel like, is getting a little bit better each game. He's just hoping his velo can get back up a little bit. So there's two guys there that could easily, supplant Presley, who I know they brought him in to be the closer, but they shouldn't have any strong ties to hold him in that role. There's no, if he's not getting the job done, there's no reason to stick with him for much longer. So, well, yeah, we'll see. That, I mean, for someone his age with knee injury, and he's dealt with all sorts of injuries. I think the knee has been like a consistent thing though with him. I want to say going back to like the last couple of years in Houston, where he's just like missed time with that knee. So I mean, this is definitely more concerning than the other two injuries to me.
Yeah, I'd be selling high on Presley while I still can, while his ERA
Yeah.
still looks good and he's still getting saves. But yeah, it's looking like Presley's probably going to fall out of this role at some point, either because he can't stay on the field or because that knee continues to affect his production on the field. All right, let's move into our injuries. We've got plenty from the past week. We'll start with Bo Brieski, who was placed on the 15-day IL with ankle inflammation. He began a throwing program on Tuesday, so Brieski should be returning in the minimum time. Brendan Hanafy was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move, but with Brieski out of the way, we've seen a trio of Tigers sort of lock down the late innings with Will Vest, Tommy Kahnle, and Tyler Holton being the top options for saves and holds in Detroit. Do you think when Brieski comes back, that's going to change at all? Or do you think his absence is allowing these other guys to sort of solidify their roles?
No, I don't. I think he's he's at the back end of the deck right now. I feel like he's got a chance to work himself back into that late inning mix, but for now, the way Vest, Kahnle, and Holton are pitching, and we knew Holton was going to be a guy no matter what, pretty much. As long he was a guy last year for them. But yeah, Vest and Kahnle have kind of overtaken or kind of become that two-man closer committee that honestly, Vest I think could be a pretty good closer. Right? He's got the kind of upper 90s fastball. He's got closer-esque stuff, and he's gotten their last two saves. I'm kind of preferring him to Kahnle right now. But again, we've talked about how how do you trust a guy who's throwing 100% or 90% changeups? It's not something you really want in a closer role. So I'm kind of on Team Vest now. I know we were Bo Brieski fans beginning in the offseason, but I really like what Vest has gotten off to such a hot start, and he's shown improved velo, and it's something we're going to talk about a little bit later. But yeah, Vest is the guy here for me right now.
All right, that's Bo Brieski heading to the IL. Next, we have Tim Meza, who was placed on the 15-day IL with a shoulder lat muscle strain. It was interesting to me that they noted shoulder, but obviously I don't know a lot about lats.
Shoulder lat muscle.
Yeah, Meza will be shut down from throwing for at least the next 6 weeks. But really, this is notable because David Bednar was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move. He has not gotten any save opportunities, but they've been trusting him in high leverage situations. He's already got a pair of holds. Let's pull up David Bednar to see how he did in the minor leagues before he was recalled. But I'm glad to see him back. But looks like the numbers were 5 innings, 0 ERA, no walks, 44% strikeout rate. You're right, he was good. So yeah, I have a lot of confidence that Bednar is going to pitch himself back into this role at some point in May. But for now, he's just a setup option to Dennis Santana.
Yeah, I think it could even, probably by May. It might even be sooner. I know Santana hasn't exactly done anything to lose the role, but he hasn't done anything to, say like, hey, we can't take this guy out of the role necessarily either. So if Bednar was your guy going into the season, then I feel like his last couple outings have been really good at the major league level. And yeah, Santana's got a 8% K minus walk rate right now. But he's been fine ERA whip wise, so I understand why they're sticking with him. But I think they know their best team is with Santana more in a setup role and Bednar being that closer.
Yep. Well, that's Tim Meza going to the IL, and the Pirates eventually transferred Meza to the 60-day IL as a corresponding move to Justin Lawrence landing on the 15-day IL with elbow inflammation. Mike Burrows was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move, but man, that was disappointing because Justin Lawrence got off to such a great start. I felt so smart, and he was lining up for holds and, maybe one of the top option for saves at some point. But definitely elbow inflammation is concerning. I don't think they're going to rush Justin Lawrence back either. I think they're going to let him sort of work through this. So we probably won't see him back until mid-May at the earliest, I would think. But right now it looks like Bednar, Ferguson, Ryan Baracki are going to be the top options for holds with Lawrence out.
Yeah, that trio and Santana, I think for the foreseeable future will be their kind of back end. I know I think Holderman's going to be back somewhat soon, so he'll probably figure in too, but he wasn't exactly pitching well either before going on the IL.
Yeah, super unfortunate there. I'm really hoping for the best for Justin Lawrence. Would really like to see him continue this
Yeah.
breakout season. Next, we have Blake Trinan, who was placed on the 15-day IL with forearm tightness. An MRI earlier this week revealed a low-grade sprain, so that's somewhat good news for Trinan, though I don't expect them to rush him back considering how deep their bullpen is and how valuable he is to that team. So we probably won't see Trinan for three to 4 weeks. Evan Phillips was recalled or was activated from the 15-day IL in a corresponding move. He's been out with a shoulder strain, and he should jump right into getting hold opportunities behind Tanner Scott. He already has.
Yeah.
Nice. He's already gotten 2.
Yeah. Like back-to-back games after being recalled or activated. So yeah, burst right into the fire. When Trinan leaves, Phillips kind of just takes that role. And yeah, even with the low grade sprain, I mean, the Dodgers probably just are like, Blake, just be ready for September, October. Like like we don't, they're gonna have Kopech coming back at some point too. Their bullpen's gonna be okay. But yeah, Trinan was throwing the ball well. He was one of the guys who added some velos this year. Kind of got back to where he was pre, 2023. So, unfortunate, but yeah, he'll be fine and he'll be pitching again at some point. And yeah, Evan Phillips should be, on the radar on hold. He kind of gotten forgotten after, he lost his closer role last year, but he still pitched pretty well for them for the most part. He had some hiccups here and there, but Phillips is still a really good guy, a really good pitcher who could probably close on, at least 10 teams right now. So,
all right. That's Blake Trinan heading to the IL. Next, we have AJ Puck, who was placed on the 15-day IL with elbow inflammation, which is scary enough. But then the next report was that he's seeking multiple opinions following an MRI that always suggests that the MRI was bad. And now he wants somebody to tell him he doesn't need Tommy John surgery. So really concerning. Joe Mantiply and Bryce Jarvis were also optioned to the minors alongside Puck. And Juan Murillo, Dre Jameson, and JP Fireisen were promoted. Also, while with Puck out, obviously that makes it very clear that Justin Martinez is the top option for saves in Arizona. However, he's already dealing with arm fatigue, which is somewhat concerning. He didn't pitch for a whole week. He did get into a game on Wednesday, which was nice to see, at least to just know that he's able to get on the field. But yeah, this early in the season, already dealing with arm fatigue in a position to be the team's outright closer. Very concerning with Justin Martinez. However, 0 ERA, 38% strikeout rate. Can't argue with that.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Martinez. I just, he's only thrown he hasn't thrown that much, Justin Martinez, in the past month, and he's already dealing with fatigue. Maybe the team just didn't want him. Maybe it's just a team sanction thing where the team was like, all right, we're gonna shut you down for a little bit. But if he's already exhibiting some signs of his shoulder fatigue or arm fatigue, that's a little concerning. But yeah, the role's all his now. He can go out and close out every game for Arizona. I'm sure Jalen Beeks will sneak in a couple times, given that he's the lefty replacement for Puck. But
yeah,
for Puck, it's the assistant GM was on some radio station and said that they're something about them being optimistic or whatnot. And maybe this is kind of like that Jared Jones thing at the beginning of the year where we were all like, all right, he's definitely getting Tommy John. And then it's like, he's just going to be out for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Which still still hurts if you drafted Puck. And I wouldn't hold on to him unless I have an IL spot at this point. But we'll see. They nothing today. No news again today. He got the MRI, the original MRI on Monday. We're already 4 days past that, and still waiting to get confirmation on some sort of resolution here. So hopefully tomorrow or Saturday. I don't know. But yeah, if you are holding on to Puck without an IL spot, you probably drop him. It's probably not going to end well. And if he does come back, it's going to be a lengthy absence no matter what.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. That's AJ Puck. Next, we have Nick Sandlin, who was placed on the 15-day IL with a lat strain. He received a PRP injection on Tuesday. not super fantasy relevant, but Sandlin was the number 2 option, or at least one of the top options for holds in Toronto to start the year. Already recorded a save and 2 holds, 27% strikeout rate, 2.25 ERA. Sandlin's been pretty solid in his first year with the Blue Jays. With him out, I think we could continue to see Brendan Little get a lot more holds. He's already leading the team with 6, which is pretty crazy. But Brendan Little, Chad Green, and Jimmy Garcia are going to be the top options for holds with Sandlin out.
Yeah, those guys, and I don't know, is Eric Swanson working his way back anytime soon? I'm kind of intrigued, but not. Yeah, those guys you mentioned are the ones that are the bigger, the names to roster or look at in holds leagues right now. So, and that's a pretty good. I mean, those four guys in Toronto have really done a great job this year, especially Brandon Leto, who kind of came from out of nowhere.
Yeah. All right. And lastly, we have Jose Leclerc, who was placed on the 15-day IL with a lat strain. Jacob Lopez was optioned to the minors alongside him, and Grant Holman and Hogan Harris were recalled from the minors in corresponding moves. Leclerc was the top setup guy for the A's this season. However, he really struggled. 6 ERA, 1 hold. I don't know if that's due to the injury, though I'm going to suggest that it was. In his absence, looks like Tyler Ferguson and Justin Sterner will be the top 2 options for holds for the A's. Both have been pitching really well this season and already have 5 and 4 holds respectively. That's Tyler Ferguson and Justin Sterner.
Yeah, those 2 guys. Sterner is a guy I think came over from the Mets at some point. It's like with Tyler Ferguson last year going into this year, and now Sterner. A's have done a pretty good job identifying some relievers who can kind of fill in some gaps, but getting the ball to Mason Miller. So, Leclerc, I was hoping for a bounce back season from Leclerc or some sort of, breakout with a new team, but I don't think Oakland was going to be the answer, or the Athletics, because they're now in Sacramento and that ballpark is not friendly to pitchers. So, tough break for Leclerc on multiple fronts, but hopefully we can get him back soon. And let's just see him start missing bats again and striking out guys. It's been a while.
Totally. That's Jose Leclerc heading to the IL. Next, we'll discuss our transactions, but first we're going to take a quick break here on In the Pen. And we're back. Jake Crumpler here with Rick Graham on In the Pen discussing relievers. We just wrapped up our injury section. We'll now head into the transactions from the past week, starting off with Jorge Lopez, who was suspended for 2 games after throwing at Andrew McCutchen and Brian Reynolds. I didn't get to watch the whole John Boy, but I watched like half of it, and I understand he deserved it. He has a history of throwing like that and having outbursts and stuff. John Boy referenced a game when Lopez was still pitching for the Cubs where he gave up back-to-back homers to McCutchen and Reynolds, or Reynolds and McCutchen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Reynolds hit a game-tying 3-run home run, followed up by McCutchen go-ahead home run. This was in the 8th. So he goes in there and hits them both back-to-back. Totally uncalled for.
So this is payback for Lopez. Like last year.
I guess so. Yeah.
Weird.
Pretty unfortunate. So that's Jorge Lopez. He's going to be out for 2 games. I think he might have already served it, though I'm not totally sure on that. But, interesting story there. Next, we have. Okay, cool. Yeah. Jorge Lopez back in the bullpen. All right. Next, we got Brock Stewart, who was activated from the 15-day IL by the Twins. He's been out with a hamstring strain, and he recorded a hold in just his 2nd game back in the majors. Cody Funderburk was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move, but I think Stewart's return is somewhat notable. He was very good for the Twins ever since he's joined that team and pitched out of the bullpen, and I think he could be an option for holds moving forward. I don't think that bullpen is preventing him from moving up. There's obviously some great names in there like Griffin Jackson, Yohan Duran, but I don't think the rest of them are going to prevent Stewart from becoming a holds option in Minnesota.
Yeah, they've been, with Jax having some issues early on, they've kind of moved him into the 7th inning role instead of the 8th inning role, and he's pitched better, I guess, in that 7th inning role. Despite he's really just been super unlucky. He hasn't been pitching terribly. It's just been bad luck for Jax. So Louis Varland's kind of been the 8th inning guy for them. He's been lights out, and we've talked about Varland a lot. He deserves that role, but that 6th inning role or that like secondary setup role could definitely be Brock Stewart's. It's good to see his velo still. It's not where it used to be quite, but still like 95, 96 is solid for him. Still being able to get strikeouts again. Cole Sands is probably not. Yeah, I'd rather Stewart over Sands. So, there's this again. When this bullpen's healthy, it can be really, really, really deep, really good. This whole team, just if they can just stay healthy, the Twins, like, I don't know if it's the strength and conditioning or trainers or whatever, but this team,
if it was the Yankees, we'd say it was the trainers.
Yeah, you can just get this roster healthy for at least like 75% of the season together. I think they would easily at least compete for that top spot in the AL Central, if not win it.
Yeah. All right. Next, we got Forrest Whitley, who was activated from the 15-day IL. He's been out with a knee bone bruise. Obviously, Forrest Whitley, former top prospect for the Astros as a starter, trying to figure things out in his mid-20s as a reliever. Whether or not that's going to happen is really going to be dependent on his health, as he's been somebody that's struggled throughout his career to stay on the field. So I think, given the state of the Astros bullpen, if Forrest Whitley can stay on the field and display some improved stuff out of the bullpen, I think he could easily move up and become a high leverage option for this club. But I think we're going to have to sit back and watch until he moves into those situations.
Yeah, they're desperately looking for, another arm in that bullpen that they can trust, because it's not Taylor Scott, and Logan Van Way is a guy who has a 2.45 ERA and a 5.6 strikeout rate, and that's the only other righty outside of Brian Abreu there. So yeah, Forrest Whitley would be a huge boost to that bullpen if he can lock down a high leverage role. And they have Caleb Ort coming back, but I think he had some sort of setback or something recently. I'm not positive on that. So yeah, I mean, they're pretty good from the left side with obviously Hader, and then you got Brian King and Steven Okert pitching really well. So Whitley would be a huge boost if he can lock down the right side.
Totally. All right. Next, we got Liam Hendriks, who was activated from the 15-day IL. He missed the start of the season with elbow inflammation. I think we all know the story with Liam Hendriks, but he's back. Unfortunately, if he was ready to start the season, he may have had a better chance at being a high leverage arm. But at this point, it seems like everything's pretty concrete at this point. So I don't think Hendriks is going to be super fantasy relevant. It's also somewhat concerning that he's already allowed to run, and he's going to have to, work through old age and recovering from Tommy John surgery and everything. Are you considering Hendriks at all in fantasy?
Not right now.
Okay.
It's sad, I know, but he's not the same guy he used to be. So maybe the stuff comes back over time as he just gets more. He gets more in the repetition of throwing every other day or whatever it is. But he like today, or was it today? He walked the bases loaded. The command's not there. The velo's not there. It's just we're still a ways away from being able to trust Liam Hendriks.
All right. Well, next we got Craig Yoho, who was selected from the minors. We've been waiting for this for a long time. Craig Yoho, maybe in the Pens' #1 relief pitching prospect, finally got the call by the Brewers. This is a guy with a solid fastball, but really he's exciting because he's got a Devin Williams-esque changeup. That's a really elite pitch. And I'm pumped to see what he can do in the majors. It's fun to finally get some readings on him too. I don't think we're going to see a lot of Craig Yoho holds and saves, considering the state of this bullpen on the positive end with Trevor McGill and Abner Uribe and other guys already locked into hold situations. But Yoho is, like I said, one of the top relief pitching prospects. I wouldn't be surprised if he pitches so well that they have no choice but to use him in high leverage situations.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be somewhat aggressive with his role. But I'm trying to, I want to be a little bit more. I know people are super excited about him because they've seen the change up and the numbers he put up at like AA last year. But AAA, I mean, he was like average at best at AAA. And I know the change up's ridiculous, but in AAA this year, he only had a 15.8% K- walk. Last year, he had a 14.5%. It's not like he's dominating AAA, and So far his first 2 outings have been kind of shaky, nothing spectacular yet. Again, 2 outings, so I'm not. I believe in the long term. Craig Yoho, I love him as a dynasty stash if you're in like those save plus holds dynasty leagues. Like I am, that's someone I'm targeting, but I don't think even for holds leagues right now. I mean, I get that it's a fun guy to chase and cool name, cool change up and all that, but I don't know if he's going to have much holds league value in redraft leagues.
Yeah, agreed. But next year, I'm going to be super in on Craig Yoho.
Yeah.
That should be a lot of fun. Excited to see what his career turns into. Our last transaction involves Drew Pomeranz, who was traded by the Mariners to the Cubs. The Cubs then selected his contract and added him to the Major League roster. I don't expect him to be somebody factoring in to hold situations. Hasn't pitched yet, but Drew Pomeranz adds another lefty to that bullpen that was previously featuring only Caleb Thielbar as a southpaw. So there's certainly a possibility that he is relied upon once he establishes himself in the majors. We haven't seen him pitch in a long time. I think the last time Drew Pomeranz pitched in the major leagues was 2021.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Used to be one of my favorite relief when he first made that transition from starter to reliever and then was with like the Brewers. He was so dominant for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then injuries and whatnot have taken its toll. And he's not. I remember because he was interesting because I'm like, oh, he's making a comeback bid, and he was with Seattle and spring training. So I was like, I was looking at some of the numbers, and his velo isn't what it used to be. He's a different pitcher now. I don't think there's anything actionable right now, unless all of a sudden he starts getting a ton of whiffs with that curveball again and the velo kind of ticks up, or at least he's able to use the fastball and effectively keep hitters off balance. But not looking for Pomeranz and holds leagues as of yet.
All right. Well, that will wrap up our injuries, news, and notes section. Now we'll head into the 3 up, 3 down section as we discuss the closers rising and falling on Rick's ranks. We'll start with the positive. Robert Suara has been incredible to start this year, leading baseball in saves, continues to find success with that changeup. He'll be continuing to move up the list as he pitches well. Next, Jeff Hoffman. Great start to the season so far, mostly because he's been used as the closer and solely as the closer. Only 1 save, or I guess 2 saves outside of Jeff Hoffman, but Hoffman 5 of the team's 7 saves right now. And he's got a 1.46 ERA and he's got a 41% strikeout rate. Is there anything else about Jeff Hoffman that has you bumping him up the ranks?
He's just been he's been dominant. That pitcherless player page is real pretty, real red. Including his hat still is a red. How does his hat still is a red? It was the last time he was with the Reds anyway.
3 years ago.
I know. We'll have to work on that. But anyway, it's love to see all the red here. Teams that passed up on him for concerns. I mean, they must be even like the team like the Phillies right now, and like the team like they. I wonder what type of effort they made to bring him back. I know they love to just kind of give out 1-year flyers, and that's why they landed with Jordan Romano. But I mean, Hoffman, they've really had struggle. Like they haven't had any right-handed reliever pitch consistently for them this year. Kerkering's been struggling. Romano, we know how bad he's been. Hoffman would have definitely helped. Philly right now. Those other teams, Atlanta, who bailed on him, and what was it, Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore's bullpen's been pretty good, but those other teams could definitely use him, even if they were afraid of him as a starter. Why he's still dominant as a reliever.
Yeah, it's been fun to see, and he's got plenty of guys setting him up. As you mentioned earlier, they've found some guys in Brendan Little, namely, that have been able to get the ball to him really quickly and successfully. So that's been really good in making sure Hoffman records a lot of saves. So great start to the season from Hoffman, giving us some confidence that he will continue to pitch as well as he has in the past couple of years. Next, we have Will Vest, who we mentioned earlier, but he has gotten the past couple of Tiger saves, and he's been pitching really well. And his main competition there, as you mentioned, Tommy Kahnle, is a almost changeup only type pitcher. So Vest seems to be more of a closer type pitcher, and he's pitching really well this year. 0.84 ERA, 32% strikeout rate, well above Tommy Kahnle. So I'm on the same page as you, where if I'm going to choose somebody in this bullpen now, after having said Brieski for weeks, now that he's not an option, Vest is clearly number one for me as well.
Yeah, he's someone who I would love to see just get a chance to close out games like kind of full time for them. I don't think they're going to move away from Canely altogether, so they're probably going to split the role. But Vest is available in most. I want to say like pretty much everywhere still. He someone to just before this weekend, take a flyer on, see what happens, or this Sunday if you're bidding on if you have Fab going on Sunday. I would, I don't like to drop a lot of money on relievers this early in the season, but I feel like Vest, just because of the traits here, the upside, the 18.6% swinging strike rate, has 3 legit pitches for, to get lefties and righties out. I'm thinking I would drop a good amount. I don't know what I don't know what percentage, but at least like 10%. I think I would consider on Vest if you really need saves.
All right. Wow. Ringing endorsement there for Will Vest. Our last riser is Justin Slayton, who interesting to see him now on your closer ranks. What has you flipping him with Aroldis Chapman? What has you saying that he's the closer over Chapman?
Well, I have both of them. But it's very much I don't see it's more of a co-closer thing than I believe we had initially thought. Maybe, I mean, we kind of talked about it, but either way, even if Slayton's getting 30 to 30% of the saves, that's still, I don't know what that factors into, but it's with his numbers, and like the only bad stat really on him right now is his ERA at 4, but that's from one bad outing, and he allowed all 4 of his runs against Baltimore on March 31st. So that was, almost a month ago now. The swing and miss stuff still there from last year. He's still the same dominant reliever we saw for the Red Sox last season. So already with 3 saves, if that kind of trend continues, if he's getting 3 saves a month, I mean, we'll take that from a guy who's going to give you good ratios and some strikeouts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking at double-digit saves for Justin Slayton. If he's getting a third of the saves that the Red Sox record, he should have like 10 to 15. That should be pretty solid, especially if he pitches even just close to how he pitched last year. That'll be very valuable. So Justin Slayton rising up the ranks. And as those 3 guys rise up the ranks, others have to fall to accommodate them. The first faller we'll talk about is Ryan Helsley, who hasn't gotten many save opportunities this year. I don't think the Cardinals are a great team. Just 3 saves, and this is exactly what we were talking about. You don't get the saves from last year, buddy. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's pitching that much worse, but what has you moving him down? Mostly just the save opportunities?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, save opportunities are out of his control, but
sure.
The 22.2% walk rate obviously is concerning. And yeah, it's just, these are kind of some of the concerns they had, with him going into the season, and he's not going to get 45 plus saves again. So is he, like, talent wise, is he up there with like the top 5-6 group of closers? And walks have been an issue for him in the past, but not last year, not in the I don't think. Yeah, I guess in 2023 it was kind of an issue. In 21, it kind of alternates years for him. Mm-hmm. The walk issues, but yeah, command has been a struggle for him right now, and he's gonna get traded. I'd imagine. I don't see him staying in St. Louis throughout the whole year. So if you have him, if you can trade him, or you can still sell high on him or reasonably high on him, I would consider it at this point, because I'm sure he'll have a good stretch where he strikes out a bunch of guys, gets a bunch of saves. But I think long term, you can probably get something better in a trade for him.
That's fair. It looks like maybe he's having trouble locating his slider. The zone rate on that pitch has fallen by 5%, and thus the strike rate has fallen by 7%. So maybe it's just him being unable to get as many strikes with the slider. We've also seen a reduced strike rate with the heater. So, I mean, that explains the increased walk rate, though I think honestly, slider feel is something that generally gets better as the season
Yeah,
goes on.
for sure.
So I would have some confidence that Helsley fixes those control issues, but the rest of your issues or concerns with him are certainly valid. Next, we have Raisel Iglesias, who's pitching for the Braves. He is their closer. However, not a great start to the season for him. 6 ERA, 25% strikeout rate, just 4 saves. Is there anything more notable or more specific about Raisel Iglesias that's concerning you?
The profile in general just kind of seems very mediocre. I wonder if we're finally past like the dominant Raisel Iglesias. I mean, he's up there in age. He's 35.
Mm-hmm.
Velo has been trending down in the past couple of years. So yeah, the strikeout rate's only at 16.2%, or strikeout minus walks at 16.2%. CSW at only 25.7, 4.91 PLV. I just wonder, the way he was getting drafted, he was like, he was getting drafted ahead of like Andres Munoz, and I wonder if he's closer to Kenley Jansen than Andres Munoz at this point of his career, right? It's probably where he's trending. So
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, last
yeah.
year we probably had the same exact concerns in the first half, and then Iglesias had that insane second half run. So that's the thing. It's like, okay, did he just get a feel last year and sort of have a good run where he was pitching beyond his means, or is that just he still got it in him, and we just need to wait for him to get hot, get a good feel for his changeup and slider?
Could be his velo ticked up. At that same second half, like there was you could see the difference in between two outings where he went from like sitting at 94 and then all of a sudden he's sitting at 96 from here on out. So maybe it happens again. I don't know. I don't know if I want to bet on that happening again, but it could because it happened last year. So it's feasible, but we'll see.
All right, that's Raisel Iglesias. Our last faller is Ryan Walker, who's really struggled to start the season. He had a little bit of bout with an injury. He's got a 7.27 ERA. He's got the majority of the team's saves, but he's not striking out a lot of batters. The last 2 saves have gone to Camilo Doval. On Wednesday night, Ryan Walker was pulled from his save opportunity after allowing 2 runs on 3 hits. Doval was called upon to get the final 2 outs of that ball game. Did so successfully. He's now up to 4 saves. And after pumping him up the first week and then sort of pulling back that comment the second week, I'm now ready to throw it back in and say, hey, I think Camilo Doval needs to be rostered in the majority of leagues, because if Ryan Walker doesn't figure this stuff out really quickly, Doval's going to take over that role in no time.
Yeah, for sure. I think Doval should be. He's like between Cade Smith and Doval right now. I feel like I'm leaning towards Doval. Will Vest or Doval? Probably Doval. I'm just giving like hypotheticals for. I would rather Will Vest because I still believe in Ryan Walker. I need to dive in to see what's going on here. I don't know. Is this slider not sliding? Because the slider PLV is all of a sudden not good.
What about like Doval or Hodge?
I think I would. So that was a good one. Flip a coin. No, I think I would still go with Hodge just because I don't have that much faith at all in Ryan Presley anymore. He's just kind of hanging on by a thread, and I feel like Walker's got to be. This has to be fixable. Whatever's going on with his slider. I would hope, because it's not like last year was just a fluke. I mean, he was really good in 2023, the second half especially.
Yeah.
So there's been, there's enough track record here for me to believe in Walker being able to, fix whatever's going on. But yeah, I'm guessing it's not. I don't really want to. We don't have time to do it here. But I mean, the slider's still moving. It's still breaking. It's command of it. Maybe it's probably a command thing. It's still April. Guys are still kind of warming up and getting into the swing of things. So, but that being said, Walker's, he's like one more blown save chance away from, I think, Doval maybe taking over, because it's not like Doval's not. I mean, Doval's a guy who's done this for years as well, and
longer than Walker did.
Yeah, so it's getting dicey right now. But yeah, a lot of Duvall, Porter Hodge, Will Vest, a lot of good flyers to kind of take a swing at. Yeah, Slayton. So there's still value in guys that aren't necessarily closers right now that are just kind of lingering. Probably a lot of them on your waiver wire as we speak.
Totally. Yep. Well, that will wrap up our 3 up, 3 down section. To recap, the risers are Jeff Hoffman, Will Vest, and Justin Slayton. And the fallers are Ryan Helsley, Raisel Iglesias, and Ryan Walker. If you'd like more information on Rick's closer ranks, make sure to go read them over on pitcherlist.com. Next, we'll move into our main topic. But first, we're going to take a quick break here on In the Pen. And we're back. Jake Crumpler here with Rick Graham on In the Pen discussing relievers. We're now heading into our main topic as we discuss the closers the relief pitchers that have seen changes in their fastball velocity this year. Shout out to Kyle Bland for putting this together for us. He is incredible. He's the best. And we don't just say that so that he does this for us the next time. Very helpful. Thank you, Kyle. But let's start out with the positive news. Let's look at the relievers that have the largest positive difference between their 2024 and 2025 main fastball velocity. Do you want to start with the top guy on the list, or do you want to just go with the bold guys?
The boulders. You can talk about whoever you want. I'll let you. I bolded some guys that I thought were probably interesting, but yeah.
Well, the number one guy is Brad Keller, and I haven't thought about him at all this year, so that's why I immediately was just like, yeah. I mean, what's the deal with him? What team is he even on?
Cubs.
There you go.
Yeah, his numbers aren't great, but I mean, yeah, you go to his Baseball Savant page and everything's red. So maybe something works itself out here with him. But yeah, I've always wondered how he would look as a full-time reliever.
Yeah, because he was never good as a starter.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys who, I mean, the stuff really ticked up 3.1 miles per hour. I mean, that's a huge difference in fastball velocity. So,
unfortunately, the shape of that pitch is still awful. Like he only gained 1.5 inches of IVB. And so the PLV rose from 8th percentile to 48th percentile. So he went from having a terrible fastball to having an average fastball.
Mediocre. I was just saying, and 97 is great, but that's in today's game, it's 97 is not exactly unhittable. So
yeah,
if the shape's still not great, and the location's still not great, it's still it's going to lead to his, what does he have, a 9-point-something ERA right now?
Nice.
6.75 ERA and 1.71 WHIP. So I mean,
not too bad.
Yeah, could be worse.
All right, let's look at some of those bolded guys. Garrett Whitlock is up 2.4 miles per hour from 93.4 to 95.8 miles per hour on his fastball. That's because Garrett Whitlock has been in and out of the rotation, been dealing with injuries for the past couple of years. But here we go, fully healthy Garrett Whitlock out of the bullpen, and he is throwing some gas there with 96 mile per hour sinkers.
It's the starter to reliever trend, as we'll see with a few guys on this. But yeah, Whitlock's been awesome. He just keep him in the bullpen where he thrives. He and Slayton are really good combination duo to, both can kind of go multiple innings. I know Whitlock's been pitching a lot of 2-inning stints, so Whitlock's been fantastic in the bullpen. I love what I've seen from him.
Yes, I hope that they never change back, because they've done that snip snap with Garrett Whitlock, and
literally,
it's sort of messed with his career. So I think he'll be healthier. I think he'll be more successful if he just continues to pitch out of the bullpen. Next, we'll discuss Gabe Spear, who we pumped up a lot. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before. Nonetheless, he's gotten off to a really good start this year and seems to be getting back to what he was doing in 2023. A lot of that is in part because of his increased fastball velocity, up 2.4 miles per hour to 95.4 miles per hour. That's Gabe Spear looking much better in 2025. Yeah,
he was on this list last year as one of the fallers. So nice. Then here so he's just doing what he did in 2023. It's not like it all of a sudden shot up. It's just he was not healthy last year. He's healthy again this season, and he's one of the better setup guys in baseball when healthy.
Yeah. All right. Next, we got Mark Leiter Jr., who's up 2.2 miles per hour to 93.7 on his sinker. In 2023, he was throwing 91. In 2024, he was throwing 91. In 2025, he's throwing 93.5. That's a big change for him, though. We haven't seen a big bump up in his PLV as the stuff on it. No, he's got more break on it. I think it's his locations that are poor.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. But that is interesting, especially for, I don't know, it's always great to see anybody with increased velocity. But Mark Leiter Jr. has been relied upon pretty heavily by the Yankees so far this season. And I think he's one of the more reliable options in that bullpen as somebody with experience over the past few years.
I know he gets a lot of criticism by Yankees fans, but he's had some struggles, I believe, since he got there. But he's more often than not, he's a really reliable reliever, and yeah, Velo's never been a big part of his game. He's just a splitter guy, kind of, in the vein of Kirby Yates, just not as good. But I think the increased velo can only help.
That's right. All right, next we got Phil Maton, who's up 2.1 miles per hour, all the way up to 91. He is throwing hard nowadays. I'm one to speak. I've never thrown 80, but nonetheless, that's with his cutter. So I don't know. I would expect the pitch to be much better this year, and PLV suggests it is, going from 18th percentile to 85th percentile on the cutter as he adds a little bit of velocity. Maton's not somebody who's ever needed velocity to have success, but I think this makes him less risky and should give him a higher ceiling. And we're already seeing that with the 32% strikeout rate to start this year after being down at 22% last year.
Yeah, and that's obviously that's like one of the weirder pitches in baseball. I don't know if it's weird. It is kind of weird, but like that. It used to be considered a four-seamer, but it's got that little glove side run to it, so it's just like a little cutting high IVB cutter, which is I just the way like hitters swing at this 90-mile-per-hour pitch, like it's obviously super deceiving. I'd love to be in the batter's box just to see it. Just like same with Paul Sewald, like those guys, like those two who just like can throw 90 at the top of the zone and make hitters look foolish. But yeah, it's any little velo bump can help him. As long as the shape stays the same, it's only going to help. So yeah, that's been a huge difference in his. That's why he's having so much success with the Cardinals this year. And good gift for the Cardinals, who again, if they're sellers at the deadline, they should get a nice piece for Phil Maton.
That's right. Next, we have Jose Alvarado, who we've talked about a lot this season, up 2 miles per hour to 99.8. I don't think there's much to say about Alvarado that we haven't already said, but that increase in velocity is a huge part of why he's having success this year. Him recovering that velocity is huge, and I think it lends credence to suggest that he's going to be incredible throughout the year as long as he holds that velo.
As long as the velo stands, yeah. I'm worried for no reason that it's not, but yeah, he's been throwing the ball well right now, and that's been one of the better finds in off the waiver wire early on in the season so far.
Yeah, for real. Next, we have Louis Varland, who's up nearly 2 miles an hour, up to 98.1 on his heater. This is another one of those starters shifted to the bullpen, and I think Varland's going to be really exciting this year, and to see him throwing 98 is really cool. The fastball doesn't have great shape, and it's not a huge PLV pitch, but throwing 98 with the breakers that he's got, I think is super incredible, and he's going to be dominant throughout the year as long as the Twins keep him in the bullpen.
Yeah, it's good enough shape. It's good enough to, especially compared to pair with his curve and slider. Mm-hmm. Two other positive PLV pitches. I love Louis Varland as a reliever. I feel like this could be almost similar to, it's either like Griffin Jax 2.0 or like Ryan Presley 2.0, where they just kind of find a former, starter who's got two good breaking balls and a solid fastball. Mm-hmm. In Varland's case, his fastball is much better than Ryan Presley's, but it's kind of similar to Jax, where former starter turned reliever, and just the stuff plays way up. So Varland, and he's already worked his way into an 8th inning role. So yeah, big things ahead for Louis Varland.
Yeah, really exciting. Next, we have Mason Montgomery, who's somehow up 1.8 miles per hour to 99.1. We talked about him last week as the pitcher in baseball with the best stuff. Left-handed Mason Miller is what I dubbed him. So seeing him throwing 99 on the heater is exactly what we want to see. That may be the best fastball in baseball. It's certainly in the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I know it's been frustrating for anyone who's rostering him right now. Have a little bit having some home run luck or bad luck, I guess, unluck. But I mean, just stay the course with him because everything screams that this dude is going to be the best reliever in baseball at some point. It's I just if you can buy low on him now or pick him up in your holds league now, if people are getting frustrated, go ahead and do it, because I don't know when that window is going to shut. It's going to shut though. It's going to shut quickly because the stuff is still it's on. I mean, they have Mason Miller from the left side is the only thing I can really compare him to. It's like the only thing that checks out.
Yeah, and it's a legit comparison. We're not just saying that to get people hyped up. It's like, it's hard to find another reliever that compares to Mason Montgomery.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next, we've got Dylan Lee. It's probably going to be the last velo increaser we'll talk about, and I actually did an exclamation when I saw this one because Dylan Lee's been so underrated for the entirety of his career, and he's been so good over the past few seasons for the Braves. I think if you count out 2023 because of injuries, 22 and 24 were incredible for Dylan Lee. This is a guy who had a 2.13 ERA and a 29% strikeout rate in 22 and a 2.11 ERA and a 32% strikeout rate last year. So Dylan Lee sporting increased velocity suggests that maybe a higher ceiling is attainable for him. We have not seen an increase in strikeouts though, which is unfortunate.
Especially after what he did last year, swinging strike rate last year was always over 20%, and this year it's down to 14%. And the strikeout minus walks only at 12.5%. What ratios aren't killing you though, and if you're willing to be patient, I still think Lee's their best. I think Lee's probably their best setup guy. I know Daysbel Hernandez has kind of been their 8th inning guy, but I think I still like Dylan Lee a little bit better. So hopefully we get the slider starts returning more swings and misses. That's kind of been what's lacking this year is the slider, swing and miss, but I still believe in him.
Yeah, also it looks like maybe with the increased fastball velocity, he's not able to locate it as well because he's seen a stark decrease in his high location percentage, 13%, down 13% on high location. And most of those are leaking into the middle of the zone, which is unfortunate. And so we've also seen, so it's not like he's not throwing strikes with it. He's just throwing it down the middle. So I think hopefully the increased velocity is not preventing Dylan Lee from throwing his fastballs effectively as he was before, because that I think was a huge part of his success was the ability to pull off the BSB, throw that fastball upstairs and the breakers down low.
Yeah, it's I think the big difference that's sticking out to me right now is he had a 50% O swing on his slider last year. Mm-hmm. This year it's down to 31.4%. So guys just aren't chasing his slider like they were last year. So that's where that swing strike rate is kind of plummeted. But it starts with the fastball command leading to that slider being getting chases. So something that can definitely change over time. But yeah, that's why we're not seeing Dylan Lee with the same swinging strike rate as he had last year or number of strikeouts as he had last year.
Mm-hmm. All right, those are our velocity increasers to start this season. Let's look at the velocity decreasers. This is the unfortunate list. We'll start with Hunter Harvey, who's seen a 2.4 mile per hour decrease in his fastball velocity down to 95.3. He's been on the IL to start this, or at least over the past week or so. Hunter Harvey, though, somewhat concerning. He was pitching well and then hit the IL immediately after with a shoulder injury. So maybe that's a result, or maybe the decreased velocity is just a symptom of the shoulder injury.
I think it was. And he had been showing up for the whole year. It wasn't just like the last outing. So, but he was pitching well through it too. And a couple of these guys, actually, like a lot of these guys here have been pitching well so far, but it's I mean, we might as well mention these velo decreases just as something that, to keep an eye on if you do have shares or, whatnot. It's something to keep an eye on.
Yes, that's correct. I think it's you don't want to do anything drastic and drop these
Yeah.
guys because their velocity's low. Like there's plenty of season to go, but definitely something to keep an eye on. If these guys are struggling or they begin to struggle, you know why.
All right.
Next, we've got Nick Mears, who's also seen a 2.4 mile per hour decrease in his fastball velocity down to 94.3 miles per hour. We were really excited to see Nick Mears leave Colorado and go to the Brewers, and he pitched somewhat well before succumbing to injury to end the season, and then began the season on the injured list this year. So that's probably a huge factor into why Nick Mears continues to display decreased fastball velocity.
Yeah. Hopefully this is just like just needs some little bit more time to ramp up fully. But again, he's been pitching well, so I'm not too concerned yet. But if things do start to go south, then that plus the velo, it kind of pushes him way down my holds boards.
Totally, especially because that Brewers bullpen has got Craig Yoho in it.
It's Craig Yoho, Abner Uribe. How fun is that duo? I mean, that could be. That's a fun future for Brewers if they can hang on to
the
both
next
those
like
guys.
Hader and Williams.
Kind of, yeah.
All right, the next velo decreaser we'll talk about is Luke Weaver, who's seen a 2.2 mile per hour decrease in his fastball velocity down to 93.5. He really saw his fastball velocity increase last year, so this may be just a return to earth. This was a guy who shifted to the bullpen after being a starter for all of his career for a long time. So now had that breakout season last year, increased velocity throughout the year, but now it's decreased this year. He's still finding success. 0 ERA, 28% strikeout rate. So I don't know if there's anything we can do about it right now, but it's certainly something to keep an eye on with Luke Weaver.
Yeah. Just something to keep an eye on. I think just overall fatigue was always for him this season was kind of a concern of mine, because I think we talked about it a few weeks ago and how he threw like 99 innings total last year and 99 innings over like 75 games. So that's a huge workload for a guy who didn't have much of a reliever workload at all leading up to last season. So this could be kind of a symptom of fatigue from last year. Maybe he ramps back up at some point in the middle of the year. He starts throwing 95 again. But yeah, he's still making it work. The changeup's obviously still really good, and the cutter, so doesn't even need to be a big velo guy anyway. But it would be nice to see him back at like 95. But for now, Luke Weaver's fine, and nothing to take away from this other than just something to watch, just something to store away.
Agreed. Next, we've got Carlos Estevez, who is displaying many concerning signs as a relief pitcher. Number one being the 2.1 mile per hour decrease in his fastball velocity down to 94.6 miles per hour. Estevez is also displaying a decreased strikeout rate, a massively increased walk rate. It's like if you look at his pitcher list page, I don't think there's anything you're going to look at that's like, oh yeah, no, that's okay. I feel okay seeing that number.
The 5 saves, yeah. Everything else is bad. This is maybe this is more like Hector Neris from last year. Except for Carlos Estevez. I mean, how much money is he getting paid though? $30 million for 3 years. So
gosh, really? Oh,
that's tough. Who?
No. 2 years, $22.2 million. Only $11 million this year. That's crazy.
Yeah, especially considering what some other guys got. But I did think that he had a chance to survive in Kansas City. Just that ballpark it's a big enough ballpark to keep him. He's got like huge fly ball splits that should be able to keep the ball in the park for him. But it's been. I mean, I know he was dealing with injuries in spring, and I don't know. He's not someone that we've ever really been high on anyway. So the only thing is Lucas Erceg ever going to get a chance to close out games, because they trust him, so they value him so much in that high leverage role where they can use him whenever they need to. And Estevez is getting paid a ton, so I don't. As much as we want Lucas Erceg to be the closer in Kansas City, I don't see it happening anytime soon, unless Estevez goes on the IL, and then obviously something changes. So I don't even know if it would be Ursig though. I mean, honestly, I think it would be Ursig, but they'd also mix in some other guys, and they're going to use Ursig against the middle of the order pretty much whenever that comes up, no matter who's available to them. So, but yeah, Carlos Estevez is not looking too hot right now. The velo being down, that's come down. I mean, he was throwing like upper 90s with the Rockies, and then it's just kind of trickled down since he left. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
wow.
not
He
looking
used to
too
throw
good.
97.5 and
Yeah, I
22.
mean, yeah, he was. It's really quickly come back down to earth, I guess.
Mhm.
So
I think I'd be
yeah,
trying to sell or at least trade Carlos Estevez where I can, just because
yeah,
I'm like you mentioned he's going to keep getting saves, but I don't know if it's going to be worth it with the ratios that he's going to put up and the
yeah.
lack of strikeouts, because that whip is going to be absurd. I think the ERA is going to be over 4, and like it's possible. Yeah, you mentioned everything that suggests that he should hold the closer role throughout the season, but I don't know. Even if he is the closer, is it going to be worth rostering if he's like terrible, where he's like, I don't know. Everything I'm looking at suggests it's
In
not going to be fun.
like a, I mean, in a head-to-head or points, I don't think you need to roster him. You can trade him, but I don't even know if you can get anything for him. You probably wouldn't if you're in a 12-team head-to-head. I don't even know if I would consider him a must roster at this point.
Okay.
I'd probably rather Will Vest. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna get some good numbers from his ERA and ratios and strikeouts and get something out of that rather than just maybe I'm getting one save a week from Estevez and the other numbers are just garbage. Like that doesn't help me too much. So yeah, I don't. In Roto League, you probably want to get the saves while you can, but yeah, head to head, I'm not too interested in Estevez at this point.
All right. Next, we've got Ian Hamilton, who joins Luke Weaver in the Yankees bullpen as somebody with a significant decrease in velocity. He's down 2 miles per hour, down to 93.8 miles per hour. It's Ian Hamilton. Nonetheless, he's still pitching really well. Looks like he's got a 2.70 ERA and a 31% strikeout rate.
17.3% swing and strike. Yeah, he's still pitching well. I mean, his slider is a really good pitch. Maybe it's not. I don't know. PLV really does not like him. But the slider does have a 33.3% swing and strike rate, despite the 4.26 year PLV. So I have to dive in more on that one. But that Yankees bullpen is kind of, up in the air after the top two guys there. So, someone like Hamilton could slide into that secondary setup role where I think Fernando Cruz probably has the edge right now, but there's also Mark Leiter and Hamilton. So, yeah, I don't know. Not too much on Ian Hamilton at this point. He did come back to kind of recently too, so maybe he's just working his way into things.
Yeah. Colin, Colin, it's not a Colin. Yes, it was. I just got lost. Thank you, Colin Snyder. Just got lost on the list. Colin Snyder has seen a nearly 2 mile per hour decrease in his velocity, down to 92.2. Last year, he was a heavily relied upon reliever for the Mariners, and this year continues to be an option for holds. He's already got 2, got one earlier this week, but the decrease in fastball velocity certainly concerning.
Yeah, it's definitely hindered his strikeout rate.
Yep.
Then just swing and miss metrics in general, only a 10.8% swing and strike, 24.9% CSW. So yeah, that's something where, his four-seamer was definitely better last year, as was his cutter. Or his cutter's still pretty good. So there's other options. We talked about Gabe Spear. And then you have like kind of a bunch of different righties that they can mix and match to help get the ball to Andres Munoz, and Snyder will be in that mix. But there's also Trent Thornton, who's pitched pretty well this year. We talked about Carlos Vargas a little bit, who could be eventually could be like the top right-handed guy to get the ball to Andres Munoz. But I don't know. Snyder has been fine for the most part this year, but I still not crazy about rostering him in holds leagues. There's just not a ton of upside, even with and with the decreased velocity. It pushes him down even more.
Okay, next we've got Camilo Doval, who's down 1.7 miles per hour to 97.4. Now we've pumped him up a lot, but I honestly think that may be a good thing for him. It may hold down his strikeout rates, but the thing with Doval is we're always concerned about his ability to throw strikes, and maybe with the decreased
That's what
velocity, he'll throw more strikes.
that's what I'm thinking is going on, and that's
Yeah,
fine. And
it's working.
the one thing though, and I was going to bring it up when we were talking about the ball before, as well as he's pitched, there's the strikeouts are still lacking. And yeah, it might not be the same Camilo Doval we're used to seeing. Maybe we're into this new, I'm gonna just try to throw strikes and limit hard contact Camilo Doval, which is fine, but doesn't excite me as much from a fantasy standpoint. But
Mhm.
um, it's working for him now, so I would imagine we're just gonna see him, continue this and this trend of just being in the zone with decent enough stuff to get outs.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out. Next, we've got Kyle Finnegan, who's down 1.4 miles per hour to 95.8 miles per hour. This is a guy who throws his fastball over 60% of the time, and already, he doesn't have a lot to support it, just the splitter. So that four seamer needs to be a really, really dominant pitch. PLV still loves it, thinks it's in the top 25% of the league, but reduced
Really?
fastball velocity. Yeah.
Yeah.
73rd percentile, and last year he was 81st percentile. So PLV likes his fastball. I think that's probably has to do with his ability to locate it upstairs, which he's not been able to do as much this year. He's thrown a 6th
Yeah.
percentile Y middle location. So that's somewhat concerning, but I think everybody knows how we feel about Kyle Finnegan. I don't think this fastball velocity is going to change anything.
I mean, yeah, I keep he's got 9 saves. Like whatever. I'm not gonna fight. I can't fight it anymore. He's got the second most saves in the league.
Yeah.
And I get pushback on where I rank him all the time, but like there's nothing good here. There's nothing. This isn't sustainable. I mean, it's still a 1.41 whip. It's not like it's I don't know. It's still nothing has changed with Kyle Finnegan. I'm
Mhm.
good for him. I'm happy. I'm not like I don't like not like him. It's just I'm not taking it personal. I just like looking at these numbers. I'm just like this isn't going to be sustainable. That's all there is to it.
Mhm. All right. Well, next we'll discuss Tony Santillan, who's down 1.4 miles per hour to 95.8. That's somewhat significant because I think at least I was mostly surprised or mostly excited about his breakout last year because he had the all starter to reliever velo bump and he was up to 97.2, and he found a lot of success last year. He still found success this year, but it's not been as dominant, only a 16% strikeout rate from Santillan. And I feel like that has to do with the fastball seeing a significant decrease in velocity going from 94th percentile PLV to 30th percentile. So clearly
Right.
a significant drop off. And that sort of has me fading Santillan, especially with Alexis Diaz back and Milo Pagan sort of solidifying himself in the ninth.
Yeah, I wrote about him today, and that's definitely a concern. The PLV is just diminished. That fastball it wasn't in good shape to begin with, and now the velo being down, it's not helping anything. And we're at what a 6% K minus walk rate. The ratios are fine for now, and he's getting holds. And Terry Francona loves using him in high leverage spots, but he's playing with fire. It looks like I feel like this could end poorly if unless Santillan's able to get his fastball back to where it was.
Yep. All right. The last guy we'll talk about is Tanner Scott, who's seen a 1.4 mile per hour decrease in his velocity down to 95.7 miles per hour. I would say that's concerning, but there's so much going for him that I'm not concerned at all. He hasn't walked anybody this year. That's
That's
a big thing for him. Exactly. So velo down, control
it's like
up. His
it's like Camilo
his
Duvall. Yeah, there's
Yeah, exactly. And the locations have been very different as well, as he's been
Mhm.
going 46% low location on the four seamer, which is in the 97th percentile of amongst four seamers. So somewhat interesting, different usage from Tanner Scott. Decreased velocity, not really mattering at all.
Yeah, because he's still, and it's not like he's dropping into like 94 from 96 or something. It's
Mhm.
going to as long as he's 96 plus, which what is he now? He's at 95.7, so he's
Yeah.
basically or 96. He'll be fine. You know, and then after that, yeah, like once you start getting into like the 1.2 mile per hour differences, it can be, for the most part, it's mostly, you know, not a big deal. So yeah, Scott's a good one to end on, because he's still, you know, he's been much better this year with his command, and we'll take that trade off all day.
Exactly. But that'll do it for today's episode of In the Pen. Rick, why don't you go ahead and plug your social media and anything else you're working on?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter or Blue Sky at I am Rick Graham. Just plugging away every week with the closing time closer ranks on Tuesdays, the hold up on Thursdays, and save plus holds on Fridays.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler. You can follow the pod at In the Pen Pod. You can listen to me over on the First Pitch podcast Monday through Thursday, or live Sunday through Wednesday night. And you can also find more of my work over at baseballhq.com. But that'll do it for today's episode, or this week's episode of In the Pen. We'll talk to you all next week.